This is Paul Lewis, November 3rd, 1996, Roosevelt Alumni Interviews for the 50th anniversary. This morning I'm sitting here with...
Waren Baker, president of Cal Poly.
Great. Dr. Baker, how long have you been president of Cal Poly?
I'm starting my 18th year this year.
Where were you from originally?
I'm originally from Massachusetts and sort of migrated across the country to Cal Poly.
Now, when you were growing up in Massachusetts, what were New Year's Day like?
Well, certainly football and celebrations, and clearly we used to watch the Rose Float Parade.
Growing up, do you remember seeing the Cal Poly float?
You know, I can't say that I did, and I've racked my brain as I think about this. When I was a kid, did I recall seeing the Cal Poly float? You know, that was in the would be in the 40s and 50s that we would watch the parade on New Year's Day.
Now, when you first came to California and to Cal Poly, and you saw the Cal Poly float, and then you saw it in the New Year's Day parade, what was your response, and what did you think? Well,
when I first got involved with the Rose Float Committee and saw the float in the parade, I just thought it was a tremendous achievement by the students. In fact, I was amazed at how this came together, particularly with the campus at Pomona and here in San Luis Obispo, and bringing it together. But what really struck me was the enthusiasm that the students had and how well organized they were.
What does the Cal Poly float mean to Cal Poly?
Well, the Cal Poly float means a great deal, I think, to the university. It's a tradition in a sense, and in the 17 years that I've been president of Cal Poly, I've had an opportunity to travel all over the country and all over the world, and had an opportunity to talk to people about what we're doing at the university. But the one question I always get asked is, do you still do the float in the Rose Parade on New Year's Day? So it's clear to me that people look for that, and I think that this tradition has been an outstanding public relations activity for the university.
What about memorable moments related to the float, or with your family, or Rose Parade? Anything that you can...
Well, nothing can beat the time that we spent New Year's Eve working with the students. My wife keeps saying she did not know how they were going to complete it and get it ready, because our two sons and daughters were working with the students, putting flowers on, pasting them here or there, and lo and behold, it was ready on time.
Okay. Now, we're asking this question of everybody. When you were interviewing for your position here at Cal Poly, and this is the thing we're asking students when they were applying to come to Cal Poly, did the Rose Float influence your decision to come to Cal Poly?
I don't think the Rose Float influenced my decision to come to Cal Poly, but I'll tell you the activity behind the Rose Float and what led to it is really what influenced me to come here. The fact that students from all disciplines got together, they developed a concept, a design, worked to get it done, and to see women learning how to weld and bringing this together was sort of the can-do spirit of Cal Poly, and that really was impressive.
There are numerous organizations at Cal Poly, from the ski clubs to rugby to just everything you think of. It's a very diverse student body, very diverse student groups. What do you think is unique about the Rose Float organization?
I think the Rose Float organization is unique in it really has had a strong alumni support, that is the Rose Float alumni group, and is probably the most independent group on the campus, and I say that in the sense that it's a group where the students really, from year to year, we've had good advisors, etc., for the Rose Float Committee, but the students themselves have passed on this tradition from year to year, and the alumni in that organization have a really profound effect on that tradition.
As we approach the 50th anniversary, what does 50 years of Cal Poly Rose Float mean to you?
I think that 50 years of the Cal Poly Rose Float really tracks the last 50 years of the university. This morning, for example, I met with people who graduated in the late 40s here at homecoming weekend, and they expressed their views of the university and how it had developed. And that spirit, the underlying principles of the university, have guided us throughout. We haven't changed those basic principles, and the Rose Float sort of exemplifies that in the sense that right from the very beginning a principle was established, the working together, the enthusiasm, and the same things are occurring today that occurred 50 years ago.
So we have a history of 50 years, but now we're looking 50 years in the future. What do you think will be Rose Float's role in representing Cal Poly in the next 50 years?
Well, I think as long as there's an opportunity like the Rose Parade, and as long as there are enthusiastic students, it seems to me that this is going to go on. If it's gone on for 50 years and it's been carried through, as I said, by the connections with alumni, it's such a strong organization that I think that this will go on for another 50 years.
Now, although you're protected sometimes from student pranks and activities, Rose Float has been known on campus to carry on their occasional fun events. Have you ever heard of any that you've caught wind of that you just had to laugh and just had to say, well, those are just students?
You know, I have, and I can't recall exactly what they were over the years, but you're absolutely right. The Rose Float Committee does have a reputation for having a good time.
Anything else that you'd like to share with us in relation to Rose Float and your experience at Cal Poly?
I think it's wonderful to be able to answer questions that people ask when they come to the campus. The Rose Float is clearly something that people identify with Cal Poly. They say, yes, the two Cal Polys, the Rose Float, we see it every year on New Year's Day. But what is interesting is to tell people that this is something that's going on all year long. You can go down to the shop and see students there. You can see students there in the summer. You can see them working together, the skills that they learn, but most of all, the enthusiasm that they have for working together with each other to get something that sometimes seems impossible done, and to get our half of the float down to Pomona and in the parade and through the parade and working is just a wonderful challenge. And to have that going on every day on the campus in some form or another, I think is an exciting proposition.
Great.
Good.
Anything else?
No.
Last minute thoughts?
Can't think of any.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thanks much.